All right, welcome back. It's 11:40, and before we get to our plant and garden expert, Craig, we're going to start with a live look at our Eagle Eye here in Moline, just bringing you another live look of those roads out there. Going to take some extra time today. As you can see, snow is just blanketing the side streets, the roads, parking lots. Going to be extra careful.
Picture that, the winter wonderland. Well, on this Wednesday, that also plant and gardens expert Craig Hignight is here joining us live to answer all of your burning questions. And Craig made it in, safe and sound.
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It's the only
so that
thing
must
to have
be, we're
this
okay
kind of
then,
weather,
right?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Let's start with our first question here. And I have an iris bed. I need to relocate this year and was wondering how and when to do it.
Okay, for your iris bed, you're going to wait until the 4th of July. So you're going to enjoy your blooms this spring. Come July, you're going to take all the iris up, set them off to the side, redo the bed or get the new bed ready. And then when you're ready to replant, you go ahead and you cut the leaves down to about 6 inches above the rhizome and only save about 4 to 5 inches of the rhizome behind that fan of leaves. Then you replant them in a spoke situation, facing out away from each other in groups of 3, 5, whatever. And remember, they should be probably about 6 inches apart when you put them in the ground, and they should just barely be below soil line level when you reset. And you're doing all of this around the 4th of July.
And really quickly, we want to remind people, go on our Facebook page, and that's where you send in your questions and yeah, try to get those answered. So this is the time. You haven't been here in a couple of weeks, so been on vacation.
Hey,
so
we're ready. We're ready.
That's right. Pull it out the can there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so our next question is from Mike, and he wants to know, is it normal for a potted lemon tree to drop leaves when it's in the house for the wintertime?
It's not uncommon. The thing you have to watch is the watering. And I've watched lemon trees drop every leaf they've got and completely leaf out again. Just make sure that you remember, for every leaf that falls off, it's using a little bit less water, so it might not dry out quite as fast. So, you know, don't give up on it. It should be in a nice sunny window. Keep it as warm as possible and watch that watering. Oh, and like any plant, always drain that excess that comes out the bottom. That's where we get our wet feet from on plants.
All right. Will topping a lopsided fruit tree harm its yield that season?
It's going to, hurt it a little bit, but the important thing is that you do your top work properly. When you're bringing a tree down, top working it, choose a nice side branch that you're going to cut to so that the plant still has some upward growth, and then don't let that new growth get out of hand. Keep it topped out, and of course, like always, you should be out there pruning every spring. Never skip a year. It's going to cut down on the yield a little bit, but in the long run, the tree is going to be much better off and give you much better fruit.
All right, and we want to remind you that we are live right now on our Facebook taking all of your questions. So hop on there, get your questions in. We'll be right back after this break. We're back with our plant garden expert, Craig Hignight, taking all of your questions through our Facebook stream. So we're starting off with a question about geraniums. So a viewer wants to know, I bought a geranium and it's growing, but the leaves are wrinkling. What does he need to do?
If the leaves are wrinkling, you might be keeping, believe it or not, it might be just a little bit too wet. Geraniums, during the winter, you can treat them kind of a little bit like a succulent. They don't mind drying out. It's amazing how dry you can let a geranium get. Again, it should be in a window. And remember, we are now 3 weeks away from our spring pruning on geraniums that are in the house. You want to get that pruning done around the 1st of March, but on this geranium, when you water thoroughly, drain the excess that comes out the bottom, and maybe run it just a little drier than you think it should be.
I have puffball fungus in my front yard, and it's bad. What should I do?
Really, there is a product called Consan 20 that you can put on the lawn to go ahead and keep this under control. But remember, this is just Mother Nature trying to get rid of some organic matter that's in the soil. Puffballs are not poisonous or anything. They're a little ugly on the yard, but if you just break them off, as soon as you see them, when they're little guys, they just dry up and go away in about 24 hours.
All right, we've got a viewer asking, when do you cut back black raspberry bushes?
Black raspberries, I would wait until we've got the snow off the ground, and then you will go out and you will look for last year's canes that had fruit on them. And those canes that have the little nubs where the fruit was, you cut them down to 4 inches above the ground. Any cane that did not have fruit on it last year, do not touch it, because that's where this year's fruit is going to come from.
I have a big mum about 4 foot tall. Should I cut it back? How much and when?
Again, you can cut it back, but I would do it in stages. You say it's about 4 feet tall, that means you can only take off a little over a foot right now. Once you get new growth coming out, then you can take off a little bit more. It took not too long, but it took a while for it to get to 4 feet tall. It's going to take a while to bring it back down. Your final pruning should be right around Mother's Day, just before it goes back outside.
All right, last question we've got here is how to make my lilac bloom more.
Okay, lilacs, like any plant, you want to have them mulched very well. You don't want them competing for food and water with the other plants in the yard. I would give it a little bit of fertilizer in the spring, make it an organic. And remember, you only prune a lilac immediately after it gets done blooming in the spring. Anything later than that, you're cutting off next year's flowers.
All right. Well, we want to thank you so much. Good to see you again. And
glad to be back.
I know this is not your first rodeo dealing with that stuff outside, though, right?
Not by a long shot.
I know. We started having questions flying and coming right in, asking you shall receive. But you'll be back next Wednesday, right?
Be here.
Back on track. All right. Well, be sure to join our Facebook Live every Wednesday with Craig. And there you can submit your questions and be part of the conversation. It's first come, first serve, right?
Yes. So save all of your questions for next week if we didn't get to you today. And here's a look at our Bridgepoint camera in Moline. Good morning, Quad Cities at 11. We'll be right back.